Hi you guys, so I'm really excited. This is our first video in our Lucas Reborn painting tutorial series. I have been wanting to start this baby for a long time. Like the second that I got him, I wanted to start. But so now we're gonna start. I do have my supply list here. And I'm keeping this near me because I want to make sure that I stick to just the colors that I had in this video. That I had in the supply list. I also have our modeling sponge set from A Small World Nursery. You can go to her website if you have not gotten this sponge set yet. I think she still does have a few left. But this set I'm really excited about. Desiree worked very, very closely with me. It took us quite a while, but she did all of the patterns that I wanted her to do pretty much exactly like I wanted them. So this is a really great set to have, and I'm going to be using this set while we're painting. So let's just go ahead and get started here. I am going to start by doing veins and blue undertones. So I'm just going to mix up some blue here. And this is just ultramarine blue. I'm using Genesis paints. I do have some videos on other paints. You can use whatever, whatever paint that you want. If you're using air dry paint, you can still pretty much follow along. You would just mix according to how you want. Okay, this blue you can see is pretty dark. I'm gonna do the corner of the eyes dark, and then I'm gonna lighten this up. I also have, this is my vein color that I use. I mix this color. I also have videos on how to mix this color if you want to mix this color. Or if you have another vein color that you prefer, you can go ahead and use it. I'm just going to put a couple of drops in here. This right here is Exodus thinning oil. And then I have in this squirt bottle, I just have my regular thinner, my odorless mineral spirits. This clean strip is the brand that I prefer. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it a lot in other videos. You could use whatever brand you prefer. My mix thickens up over time, and adding some of that thinning oil, it like really helps get it nice again. And I'm going to show you guys, isn't this so cute? I have this cup here that one of you sent me. I know it is like a sarcastic jokey cup, but I love it. It is so sweet. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with veins. I have a small brush here that I use for veining. It's just my personal favorite one to use. You basically just want a small liner type brush. And I have a cosmetic wedge here. I usually always start with the face. I'm going to go ahead and just do a vein here in the middle of the forehead, and we'll just go ahead and pounce that out. It's really important that you cannot see where the line starts or ends. So at the end of your line, you just really want to pounce that really well to blend it in. I don't know if you guys can even see that. I can see it in person. It is definitely dark enough. Then I'm going to go ahead and we'll do our veining on the sides of the head here. I'm going to do a little vein here, but I do want to be careful because he has this, it's like, I'm not sure if it was intentional or if it didn't get smoothed well, but he has a little divot right here. So I don't want to emphasize that, but I do just want a little bit of veining in my normal places there. And we'll just go over here. Maybe it was intentional because he has that same divot on this side. It is a little bit more, I'm going to be even more careful on the top on this part, on this side here, because it is a lot deeper on the top of the ear there. I just want it not to look unnatural. And with veins, I always think it's better to err on the side of caution and go lighter. You can always touch them up again later if you want to emphasize them more, but if you go too dark, it's almost impossible to fix those. The only place I'm not worried about going too dark is on the head here, because I do want those to stand out a bit underneath the hair. And I'm just gonna do a little one there going down the neck. You want to make sure that you're not doing like an exact straight line. They don't need to be super squiggly, but you know, you want them to look natural. Alright, I'm happy with that. Just gonna get a well here to clean my brush out. And I'm actually going to grab a red here because we're gonna do some capillaries. This is the Bountiful Baby geez, if it could focus, dark red, premixed dark red. And I use Christine Woolley's hand cut brush. You can get this at Dolls by Sandy. And hold on one second. Sorry about that. I was just looking for another brush that I like for my undertones. So with this darker blue here, we're gonna do the inside of the corner down here and the crease. It should look about like that. Clean, dry brush, and we're just gonna blend that in. And I'm just kind of taking that excess and blending it over the bridge of the nose there, right between the eyes. And if you get any kind of outside of where you want it, just take your sponge and wipe it off. All right, now I'm just gonna lighten my mix up a bit here. I don't know if you can really see the difference between that and that, but it is just a little bit lighter here. And I'm gonna do around the outside of the nose a little bit diagonal down, and you can see this area. You should be able to feel it and see it where it just goes in a little bit in this little spot there, and that's the area that you're going to want to do your blue shading in. You do want to make sure you blend it. You don't want it to be like a straight line. So I have a little hair right there. And I'll also do a little just right there inside the philtrum, which will just need natural shading anyways, and inside of the nostrils. I want to do this little crease there and blend it up right under that lip. And then right here, just like it goes in there, you can feel where it goes in under the mouth, and just right there you want to do a little more shading, just where the skin would naturally be a little bit thinner and there would be a little bit of shadow there. I don't always do this, but on this baby I'm going to do a bit of shading just right above the brow line. That brush didn't work great for blending, so I'm just going to blend it with my cosmetic wedge here. And I did do some veining here, but I'm just gonna do just a little bit more shading there in the temple area. I know I just did a video about this, so I don't want to over explain it. But we're just doing areas that would naturally have thin skin, or where you want a bit of a shadow. And we're doing, I guess, creases too, just because we're doing our first crease layer because we have paint in our palette. And this is pretty much my standard, what I always do. I always start with undertones and veining. I do know there are some artists that do them like at the very end. I personally do not do that because I find that if I do them after the skin, it doesn't look like it's under the skin. So I just find that when I do them before and I do them under so that they look under the skin, it just looks so much more natural. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have a little black speck here. I don't know if it's an embedded black speck or if it's just something on the vinyl. Oh, thank goodness. It came, I got it out. That worried me. I had been thinking, you know, this kit is so great so far. I haven't seen anything wrong with it, so I'm glad to see that it is fine. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I find if I do all of these things first that it looks more natural. So that's why I do them first. I also don't do washes really, as you guys know. I build all of my skin tone up doing what I call depth layers, which are basically pretty thin, very small modeling layers. You may have heard them being called texture layers. It's pretty much the same theory, but for me they build skin depth. So that way when I paint that way, when I have my veining and undertones first, they do show through. I'm not putting a bunch of washes covering all of them. So I just think for me, it looks more natural. If you haven't tried it this way, I would recommend that you do, and then you can see if you prefer to do them at the end or at the beginning. So what I'm going to do right now are capillaries, and all I'm going to do is take this color right here. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet here, not too wet. And I'm just going to take a little of the paint that's on the lid. You could see I'm not putting a glob of it. I'm just kind of barely touching this area where there's a little bit of paint. And we will just do some, let me see if you guys can see that well. We're basically just doing some little lines. I am going to take my brush right here and kind of just barely tap the end so that it blends into the skin. Capillaries are a super great way to add some realism if you do them right. I see a lot of people that do capillaries different ways. I have seen some recently where they're like straight lines, just straight up and down like that. I don't recommend that. I mean, you know, sometimes I will do, let's do one right here and I'll show you. Sometimes I will do one like this where it does have one that goes up, but you could see it comes down and you're going around. If I do one that goes up like this, I do not want to just leave it like that. I want to take my brush and blend it a little bit so that it kind of looks like it's just disappearing into the skin. There are a lot of really great capillary ones. Maybe I'll put one up on the screen from when we first started, of capillary patterns that I like, because if you do them right, they make all the difference in the world. So I did capillaries on the eyes. I'm really happy with these. That's it for the capillaries on the eyes. Now I'm going to do some right in here. These ones are a little tricky. You do not want to overdo them. That is super, super important. So I drew some on there. I want to blend them inside and I want to blend them outside. Just a little bit so that you can, you know, it looks like they're slightly under the skin and then they become more pronounced and then they blend back in and disappear. And And we'll do the same thing over here. I just need a little bit more paint on there. Same concept on this side. I'm just gonna blend a little bit in that crease there and just a tiny blending where the line comes out. And I'm happy with those. I'm actually gonna emphasize this right there just a little bit more. Perfect. The next place we'll do capillaries is on the cheeks. And I pretty much do in the same spot, kind of right here in the lower, on the side, lower side of the cheek, which is just an area that I've naturally seen capillaries a lot on babies. Those ones I blend a little bit, but these ones I do tend to make a little bit darker because they are going to be covered a lot more with modeling, blushing, stuff like that. So you can stand to do them a little bit more pronounced on the cheeks. Oh, I don't like that one. I'll wipe that one off. And the pattern is just really important on capillaries. Like how I was talking about on the veins, how you don't want them in a straight line. You kind of want like a, you know, a slight wave. Capillaries, you can get away with being super, super crazy curly. And I would say with capillaries, like the curlier you do them, the better they look. All right. While we have this dark red out, I'm just gonna put some paint in my palette there. And just grab some off the lid, why not? The head and face is the only place, I mean the face is, you know, the head is the only place we do capillaries. But I did want to mix that up. We'll just do a first little lip layer here. It's just a light lip layer. And I'm just going to blend that a bit with my sponge. That is it for the head right now. So I'm going to set the head aside and let's go ahead and we'll go back to veining. And I'm just going to start on the inside of the arm here. Get some of my blue. This is actually a really great example, this hand right here, of where to do blue because it has a really nice little triangle in there, and that is exactly where you want to do blue shading in the hand. I'm gonna just do the brachial artery here, which is on the inside of the arm. That it basically goes up into where like the armpit would be. Sorry, I have a little speck here. We are gonna do the hand on the hand, I go up into the fingers and they come back around. Or I mean, they meet all together again, not come back around. And I'm just going to use my crease color to do a tiny bit of, my crease color, jeez, I'm so sorry guys. My vein color to do a tiny bit of shade right there. I'm going to do a really small vein here on the thumb, on the outer finger, the outer of the pointer finger, and then the inside of the the outside of the little finger. These are just areas that if you go ahead and you look at your own hands, that you will likely see pronounced veining and stuff. There is a rather large vein that comes right here, so I'm just going to do that one. And another one that comes right here. We're just going to do a little bit of that one there. I'm going to take my little brush here that I've been doing capillaries with, and I'm going to do some very small veining right here on the inside of the palm. These ones you basically do exactly the same as capillaries. And I have to be honest, in all my years of reborning, I've never seen anybody else do these veins, and I don't know why. I always do them. I think it is such an amazing realism aspect. It's just like one of those little details. I can't even tell you how many customers I've had go like, oh my god, you even did veins there, like I've never seen that before. So it's a really, really nice touch just to kind of, you know, level up the detailing on your painting. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and do some shading. We're going to do at the base of the fingers. And we'll go ahead, we'll do a little crease layer as well. And I'm not doing all of the creases necessarily, kind of just like the bigger creases, I guess, the deeper creases. When you're doing a crease layer, you always really, really want to make sure that you pounce very, very well. Like, creases can very quickly look dirty, so that is something to keep in mind with just making sure that you pounce well. And same thing, you want to make sure that you completely blend out the beginning and the end of a vein. And pretty much the same thing with this veining. We're going up to the fingers and then meeting back down on the hand. I believe I do have some veining charts up in the Facebook members group if you guys need some help on where, you know, exactly where to place veins. A lot of times you can really see too. I'm noticing on this kit, Cassie does a really nice job, and this kit is not an exception, of placing like tendons and veins, sculpting them in so you can really see where those lines are. Let's do a little darker one right here. All right, that looks good. We're gonna do the same thing on this side with the inside of the hand. Those you want to blend the edges out, but you do want to be just a little more careful with blending, that you're just blending the edges. You don't want to, you know, smear those really great little lines. And we'll just do some creases here. When you're blending your creases, if you do that, you know, you blend and the paint goes out, you can just do what I just did, take your cosmetic wedge and just wipe off wherever it went that you did not want it. I do want this nice shadow in the center there, but not in the whole area. And I'm going to wipe this one off, but on this side I do want that little bit of shadow where there's more veins coming out of that area. And we'll move on to the feet here. And I'm going to do some blue shading here first on the inner mid corner, or mid of the inner mid side there, just there under the ankle bones on both sides. Inside of the toe. And we'll do the creases here. I'm just going to blending them with a bigger brush and using my sponge to just pounce off where it wasn't wanted. And we're just doing a crease again. And I do want some shading right here in the center. and some shading here on the back of the leg where veins would meet. All right, now let's go back and do our veins here. Sorry, I need to fix my brush there. So you have one kind of large vein that goes diagonal on your foot. And same thing, your toes kind of meet with those veins. Do a little on the outside of the foot, and then the inside of your foot has a ton of veins. And these veins are actually kind of sculpted in. I can see very well where they should be. And I'm going to do a little vein right on the outside of the pinky toe there. And just a little bit, I'm kind of stretching the leg up and just doing right here on the back behind the knee where there are veins that would be visible as well. I just want to do this one. I can see so well that I feel like it should be a little bit darker. There we go. That looks nice. Do the same thing on this one. We'll do our blue shading and creases first. He has a lot of little creases here for having like a pretty straight foot. Little rolls going on. Alright, so let's do our shading. I'm not going to do much shading on the inside of this because you could see it's crazy skin rolls, so you really would not naturally see shading right there. We'll do a little bit on the outside there. And we'll just go right into veins here. Again, with all of these wrinkles, I'm not gonna do a good vein there on the ankle. I will do one on this side because I could see where it's sculpted in. And we'll still do behind the leg. Like, there are certain areas that I suggest that you do, but you also need to look at the kit, because those areas, they don't work with every kit. So you just want to make sure that you're doing what, you know, that you're being flexible with the kit and paying attention to what would look good or not. You can use your own body. If your hand was wrinkled like this, would you be able to see the color of one of your veins? Probably not. So you know, let common sense be your guide. This belly plate should be very easy to paint. It is not very detailed. On areas like that, when you're wiping creases, like if you get your crease like that, and you wipe down, you'll leave your paint in your crease. If you wipe this way, you'll remove some of the paint. That's just, I don't know, you guys probably already know that, but that's just a little trick. So my absolute favorite thing in the world to do veins on are belly plates. And my Lucas is going to have lighter hair. I haven't exactly, like, I have a nice vision for him, but I'm still flexible on it. But he is going to have like a lighter skin tone, still a lot of details, so he won't be like a pale light, you know, super pale light, but I am not afraid to make his veining on his belly more pronounced because of the skin tone that he's going to have. And I usually do one right here, sometimes two, just kind of depending, that goes down sideways here on this side as well. This kit is actually sculpted nicely. You can kind of see where there are little veining marks sculpted into it. And then on the chest, kind of off the nipples. These you have to be a little bit careful with because you don't want them looking weird and unnatural, but these are natural places that would have a lot of veining. And then one that kind of goes like right here, basically. And gosh, as much as I love this kit, I have to say I'm not a fan of this belly plate. Let's see how we're gonna do this. I'm interested to see how it comes out here. I'm not really painting it the same way I normally would because it has little, I don't know, am I even allowed to say that on here? Little saggy. Looks like it has little cha-chas, so I don't know. I'm going to go really light on this one. I'm going to look at some other Lucas belly plates online and see if I can find, see what other people have done or not done, and hopefully avoid making them look bad. Alright, so that is it for veining. On no dark shading on this. I did do the creases you saw with the blue, but that is it. Alright guys, so first steps with Lucas are done. I'm going to go ahead and get Lucas in the oven, and then when I come back we'll go right into starting to do skin texture layers. But here is Lucas. You could see his capillaries. I'm pretty sure you could see his shading, hopefully. and some of his veining as well. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.